All right, welcome guys. Happy Saturday. We got interesting 6-game slate to talk about. Not really the most exciting one. I would say it's a risky slate because there's a lot of blowout risk in these games. We got a really shorthanded Houston team. We got somewhat shorthanded Denver team, right? Minnesota, blowout risk against Utah. Just kind of not the best slate. But yes, I do. Again, got the Nurkic shirt on. Won me a lot of money last night, so I had to throw on the Bosnian B shirt. I see some Goodwin talk. That was the correct move to move off Goodwin. He got really hot off the bench and played a little bit more than expected. You know, normally off the bench, you would consider him about 15 to 20 minutes. He was not a good play. Once we got news he was not starting. That's why I was tilting a little bit on Twitter. I was like, hey, the people that forgot to switch off him or stuck with him kind of got bailed out, in my opinion. But yep, that's what I got. Hey, how's it going, guys? UFC on TV. There you go. Made 120 off 12. That's amazing, man. All right, so thanks, Patrick. Yeah, it was a really big night, guys. If you don't follow me on Twitter, had a sweat for the 100K. Finished in 7th in the big tournament. So no complaints at all, other than Davis Bertans foul trouble. Just needed a few more points from him. But all right, so let's talk about this slate again. 6 games. Some of the stuff is for the early slate, so bear with me. That early slate was just gross. We had Raptors, Knicks, and then a blowout with the Bucks, 76ers. Just a gross slate. I'm kind of expecting some of that on this main slate, so it's like, not the best. Will Barton is going to be out. Christian Wood is out too. Avery Bradley's out. Again, Embiid got scratched. So the Rockets, super short-handed. They have 8 healthy bodies. And just look at these. Jayshawn Tate, Armani Brooks, Kenyon Martin Jr., Danwell House, Kelly O, Anthony Lamb, Daquan Jeffries, and DJ Wilson. If that doesn't make you want to throw up, I don't know what will. That is some of the worst set of players I've ever seen. So we'll talk about the Rockets. But yeah, you got to have some exposure there for sure. Some of the stuff is for Sunday. Say a prayer for me, Capella. Please. I need you to play. I need you to play for best ball, please. The difference, like, it's crazy. Capella playing or not on Sunday gives me, it could be a $3,000 swing. If I advance, it's a minimum 5K with a chance of winning 20K. If I don't advance, I walk home with 2,000. So if Capella plays Sunday, I think it's pretty much locked up unless something weird happens. So please play. All right, so Pacers, Jeremy Lamb out. McDermott is available. Patrick Williams available too. Not huge news. Yeah, Olynyk's going to be like the number one on offense for sure. So let's take a look at these Vegas odds. Detroit and the Pacers, the 228.5 over under. The Pacers are 4.5 point favorites. Spurs, Pelicans 228 over under. The Pelicans 3.5 point favorites. Bulls and Heat at 203.5 over under. The Heat 4.5 point favorites. Lakers, Mavs at 217.5 over under. Mavs 1.5 point favorites. The 2 night games both have a lot of blowout risk. Timberwolves, Jazz, 230.5 over under. The Jazz are 12.5 point favorites. And Rockets, Nuggets, a 219.5 over under. The Nuggets, 14 point favorites. All right, so but real quick before I get into the team by team breakdown, if you guys could leave a like button on the live stream, it helps me out a ton. Let's try to reach 100 likes before the end of the show. Ja was huge. Ja Go, John Wall, Nurkic, a lot of my boys came through big. Even Draymond finally. Yeah, had some tough luck without my top 2 picks with LeBron and Kawhi. I'm surprised. I will say I'm surprised how much or that I'm still alive. It was a $555 entry. So yeah. All right. Let's talk about this. Sorry, God. Oh, my allergies are killing me per usual. It seems like right when I go on the live stream, I always just have the itchiest nose ever because you guys know I just have terrible allergies. But all right, so let's talk about Detroit and the Pacers. And the Detroit side, veterans, looks like everyone's good. Jeremy Grant, probable. Corey Joseph, probable. No party plays here. I think Jeremy Grant's an interesting contrarian play. Doesn't make sense in my opinion for an optimal build. Isaiah Stewart is out of play for me with Mason Plumlee back. Mason Plumlee is probably my favorite player on the Detroit Pistons. I don't think he's going to be super popular. The last game he played 32 minutes and went for 44 fantasy points. Now, I'm not sure if we get 32 again, but Plumlee's like a good point per minute guy. If we get close to 30 minutes here against this front court of the Indiana Pacers, right, they're really thin. I think Plumlee is a really good GPP play. I do. And I think he's going overlooked in the slate. But again, the Pacers frontcourt, they have no one, right? So I do kind of like Mason Plumlee on this slate. I think he's one of my favorite GPP plays. Corey Joseph at 5.1K, also viable. I think it's really the veterans I'm looking to with Jeremy Grant, Joseph, and Plumlee, but Plumlee being my favorite below 5K. BJ with a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. He's at KJ Martin and Bam or Ingles and Plumlee. Ooh, that is tough. I think the first one is probably better for a cash game setting because KJ Martin, I assume he starts, and it's an 8-man rotation, so like he is, in my opinion, one of the better values of the slate. And then Bam Adebayo is in a pretty good spot as well. So I think that one is probably the safer option. The second one a little bit riskier because, Plumlee, there's no guarantee. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he only plays 20. I like him for GPPs if the minutes are there because he's a good point per minute guy. And then you have Ingles with the blowout risk too. So I will say the first one for a cash games. The second one, if you want to take the risk in GPPs, I think if things go right, the second one has more upside, right? If Plumlee plays 30 plus minutes, if that game stays close and Ingles plays 35, I think that is a little more upside, but it's also a lot riskier. Patrick Bush with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Congratulations on your big night, and I hope you have another one. Let's get it tonight. Appreciate all your support, Patrick, and appreciate all the positivity. Hoping for a big night for you as well, so thanks again. All right, let's go back to the Indiana Pacers now. So, Domantas Sabonis out, Miles Turner out. What we have, Lamb. Hold on, let me circle back here. So Lamb's out, Goga is out, but McDermott is in. Okay, so whoever starts at the 5 for the Pacers, I like. I'm guessing it's going to be O'Shea Brissett again, but they also have Jakar Sampson who's back from suspension. So, like, my guess is one of those two guys. Assuming Brissett starts at the 5, I think he's once again a pretty solid value play. I don't think we get 42 minutes again from him, but I would think probably around 30-ish from Brissett. So, assuming he does start, I think he is a pretty good value. And you have Brogdon and LeVert at the top. I like them both. Just because the Pacers are so short-handed and they should have to play, a close game, 35 minutes each. They're both going to be the top guys in offense. I like both Brogdon and LeVert. Probably would give the edge to Brogdon over LeVert if you made me pick. But both players, I think, are good plays on the slate. And then Tori with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Cho. Thank you. That is greatly appreciated, guys. Again, super chats are not necessary at all, but thank you guys again for all the support. Really, it means a lot. Okay, so Brogdon, LeVert, again, I like them both. I think I give the edge to Brogdon over LeVert. Now with TJ McConnell at 5.5, it's tough. I know he had a pretty solid game last game, but we have one more body in the rotation to McDermott. I just don't think it's necessary to go there. I don't think it's necessary to go to Justin Holiday either. Really, like, the main interest is the top two guys, and then whoever starts at the 5. My guess is Brissett. You can still give a look to Jakar Sampson. Like, I think he'll play over Keelan Martin. He's the flat min price. If Brissett gets in some foul trouble, he might have to play a little bit more. So it's Brissett, assuming he starts. And then Sampson if you want to get a little bit different in GPPs. All right, Chicago and Miami. Mixer with a $10 super chat with just some rocket ships. Thank you, man. Appreciate the support. Again, I owe you. You super chatted me a bunch. So next time I'm back in Michigan, I owe you a dinner for sure. Thank you. All right, yeah, Patrick. Love the positivity. I wish it could be I tilt a little bit. I wish it could be a little bit more positive, but yeah. All right, so Chicago and Miami. On the Chicago side, Vucevic at 10-2. Not the best matchup, but again, still no Zach LaVine. A viable contrarian spend up. I think you would give a look to him if you think what was I going to say? That like the Denver game blows out, or even, the Utah game blows out. Like, you could give a look to Vucevic. I think that's where he would come more into play. But assuming, like, one or even both these games stay close, I have a hard time playing Vooch over a guy like Jokic at a similar price. Kobe White at 5.9 is probably my favorite play in Chicago. But even so, on this slate, I don't know if it makes a ton of sense. Like, he'll play about 30 minutes. He can stuff the stat sheet. He obviously gets a boost with no Sandaransky, or with no Zach LaVine. But it just... the price point, it makes it a little bit tricky. And I don't know if I get to anyone else in Chicago. Like, I'll mention Daniel Tice, but, like, I just have a hard time playing Tice over some of those Rockets in an 8-man rotation, right? It's an 8-man rotation for Houston. Prefer the value there over a guy like Daniel Tice. All right, Miami. So Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. This is a low over-under game, but like I said, same thing with Vooch. Like if you think a couple of these games end up blowing out, that's where like Butler, Bam become more play. It's a better matchup for this side of the ball with Miami. Jimmy Butler, revenge narrative, again, should play 35 plus minutes, and Bam Adebayo, kind of the same thing. Like these two will be the number 1 and number 2 on offense. I think they're both pretty good plays at their respective prices. But, you know, upside-wise, if the games stay close, might lean towards some of the guys in the later games. Now, Dragic and Kendrick Nunn or Dragic and Tyler Hero are both out. Kendrick Nunn at 5'3", playable, should play about 35 minutes. You know, obviously he doesn't have as much upside with Jimmy and Bam playing, but he's at least in play. 2 guards are out. And like with Dragic and Hero out, I still don't know if it does a ton for me with anyone else. Like maybe Iguodala becomes a little bit more viable, but I just prefer the other value on this slate. So that's our map for Miami. Jake with the $2 super chat. Thank you, man. Thank you for always answering my FanDuel questions. Of course. Yeah, happy to answer FanDuel. Obviously, I don't, look at the salaries, but yeah, happy to answer if you guys, throw some questions in there, throw some salaries in there. No, I owe you, Mixer. You know that. All right, guys, we're at 300 viewers, 71 likes. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. All right, so that's enough for Miami. Let's move on to San Antonio and New Orleans. Do we have DeRozan news yet? We're still waiting on DeMar DeRozan, which actually is pretty significant. Him and Rudy Gay both questionable. All right. This has got to be a fake player. This has got to be a fake player, right? Simi Shitu. There's no way that's a real person. There's no way. I refuse to believe that is a real person. All right. So, San Antonio, again, DeRozan, Rudy Gay, we're still waiting on. If they're both out, I think DeJounte Murray, Derek White become pretty solid plays in the mid-range. Would prefer Murray over White. I think Murray has more upside when they're both available. Even though Derek White had the big game last game, would prefer Murray over White. But those two are really where I look if DeRozan and Rudy Gay are out. And then you could consider Lonnie if he does start. He played 33 minutes the last game with when he was starting. So it's Murray, White in the mid-range if DeRozan and Rudy Gay are out. And then I think you can consider Lonnie Walker for value. Now, if Rudy Gay and DeMar DeRozan are both in, then I think it's just DeRozan and Murray for me. Up-tempo game. Those are the two guys I would look to. Fake player. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah, that's my thoughts there. If everyone does play, probably DeRozan would be the safest option on the New Orleans Pelicans side. So Zion Williamson's over 10K. I think he's in play, and I think the way you get to Zion, if you think some other games maybe blow out here, Spurs are not the best defensive team, and in a close game, he should play 35 minutes. He was on pace for a massive game there against the Magic, but it blew out. So I still have some interest in Zion, just because some other games have some blowout risk. Ingram, Lonzo, no thank you. Steven Adams also most likely in, probable, so that kind of takes Hernan Gomez and Jackson Hayes out of play. Not a ton else here for me. Not a ton else. Yeah, Pirtle's fine. Pirtle's fine. He will play about 30 minutes. He kind of upside, but normally hovers in the 30 fantasy point range. I think he's just kind of a secondary play for me. All right. Lakers and Mavs. Fake news. So, Anthony Davis out of play, assuming he's still going to be limited. Drummond, just, again, frustrating roster. He has the upside. A good GPP play. Schroeder is fine in the mid-range. He's the guy I think is the safest. Should play mid-30s minutes and has, the floor of the assist. There's not much else here, though, for the Lakers for me. On the Mavs side, we're waiting on Porzingis news. So we'll start with Luka. It's not necessarily the best matchup, but again, some other stars have some blowout risk. So I think Luka is firmly in play. Also has the small forward eligibility, which is nice. So Luka, again, safe option, I think. Porzingis is questionable. If Porzingis misses and Maxi Kleber misses, then I want to see what they do with the starting lineup. I will mention Cauley Stein started to play 31 minutes. Be careful here. Be careful, though. If Kleber and Porzingis are both out, yes, I have interest in the Dallas Mavs front court. They still have 4 or 5 bigs they can use. And just through the years, you could not trust Rick Carlisle. They have Powell. They have Cauley Stein. They have Boban. They have Nicola Melli. They have a lot of guys they can still use here. So, interested to see what they do starting lineup if both those bigs are out. But, like I said, proceed with a little bit of caution. Don't just think whoever starts the 5 is a smash play, because they can rotate 3 or 4 bigs. Now, Jay Rich is also questionable. If he misses, Then I think Brunson and Hardaway Jr. become viable for value. Brunson, the minutes are just inconsistent for him, which is weird because he's been playing pretty well. But I do think if Porzingis is out too, as well as Josh Richardson, like he'll have to play closer to the 30-minute mark. So Brunson, he's been a good point per guy. I would probably prefer him. Hardaway Jr. would be in play for tournaments. The issue I have with him is scoring dependent. You guys know, do not like playing scoring dependent players, but he would also be viable as well. All right, so Minnesota and Utah. Not much here for the Minnesota side. I think Cat is a contrarian spend up. I will mention Ricky Rubio. He's going to be super low owned, but he's played 30 and 29 minutes the last couple games. He's a guy that does have the floor of the peripheral stats. If he's going to play about 30 minutes, he can get it done. And then Naz Reid, yes, he's been good off the bench, but it feels like chasing a little bit. Again, playable. Don't love it, though. On the Utah side, there's a lot more to like. The only issue is potential for a blowout. So Rudy Gobert, kind of just a secondary play for me. Doesn't get a big boost with Donovan Mitchell off the court. Really where I'm looking is Conley, Ingles, and Clarkson. Conley at 7K should play 30 to 35 minutes. I think is one of the best plays if the game does stay competitive. Joe Ingles I also do like. I think a little bit lower owned, but I expect, again, 30 to 35 minutes for both. Probably close to the 35-minute mark for Ingles and Conley if this game stays close. And then Clarkson off the bench becomes a good GPP play. He's a little bit more relying on the scoring. Again, so a little bit riskier, but those three are really where I'm looking. Bojan, secondary option. Royce O'Neal, kind of secondary play too. It's Conley, it's Clarkson, and Ingles, as it usually is when a guy like Donovan Mitchell is out for me. And finally, Houston and Denver. So this is the game we got to spend the most time on here. Real quick, though, let's see. Do we have any more news? No. Okay, so 8-man rotation. I assume the starting lineup is going to be Kelly Olynyk, Jayshawn Tate, Danuel House, Amar'e Brooks, and KJ Martin, with Wilson, Lamb, and Daquan Jeffries off the bench. So we'll start with Kelly Olynyk. They have no offense, right? There's no Wall, no Kevin Porter Jr., and no Christian Wood. Kelly Olynyk is a solid point per minute guy, and with all those guys off the court, I think he makes for a really good play in the mid-range. The concern here is potential for foul trouble for Jokic, and obviously the blowout risk, but it's an 8-man rotation. It's just one of those situations where it's like, I'm willing to take the risk there. I think Kelly Olynyk is one of the better plays in the mid-range, has a ton of upside. Jayshawn Tate firmly in play too. I don't love this price point here, but like I said, someone's got to score the ball. Danuel House was kind of limited off the bench. He only played 21 minutes. Keep an eye on this. If he's going to be limited, then I don't really have a ton of interest. If he is full go and starting, then also another value play that's in play. And then I think my two favorite values are Amar'e Brooks and KJ Martin. Again, Amar'e Brooks hasn't been anything crazy here, but they just don't have any point guards in this roster. He's probably going to play the point, start at the point guard, and probably play about 35 minutes. So I think he's one of the best values of the slate. Also really like KJ Martin, assuming he starts. I do think he starts. He won on that stretch, remember, when the Rockets had everyone out, where he was pretty good. So it's Martin, it's Amar'e Brooks. I think are two of the best values of the slate. And then these three, I think, come off the bench with Wilson, Lamb, and Jeffries. They're all basically min-price, but hey, they're all in play, right? These guys have to play minutes. So my guess, these guys on the bench get somewhere around 15 to 25 minutes. DJ Wilson is only center eligible, but he's actually a decent point per minute guy. He can block some shots. Again, a Michigan product, so I know him pretty well. Anthony Lamb at 3.1K, hasn't really played, but he's going to have to play in this one. And then same with Daquan Jeffries, right? I don't know a ton about these guys, but they're min-price, and they're going to have to play minutes here. So basically every single player I will say for Houston is in play. Finally, the Denver side. So Nikola Jokic, I think, is the top spend-up. The way you fade here is if you think this game blows out, which there is a chance. Now, the positive here is there's no Barton and no Jamal Murray. So a little bit of, slightly more confidence, I guess, that Houston can maybe keep this game close. And if Houston can keep this game close, you could see a massive game from Nikola Jokic. So one of the best spend ups of the slate. The only concern is just the blowout, which is real. You got to consider that when playing Jokic. MPJ at 8K, he's been their most consistent secondary option. I just don't love the price. I think he's in play for stacking this game, which, probably my favorite game to stack, because if it does stay close, right? If this game stays close, you're going to see probably a massive game from Jokic, probably a couple big games from some of the secondary Denver guys, and then obviously you're going to see some big scores from Houston since they just have an 8-man rotation. So this game, I think if it does stay close, has the most upside. This is my favorite game to stack. It's obviously a risky game to stack though. So MPJ, secondary play for me, but for sure in play for stacking. Aaron Gordon. I'm intrigued by him in the mid-range. The issue I have is the minutes haven't been great. 29, 27, 22 the last 3 games. But maybe he pushes for over 30 in this one. Again, fantastic matchup. I do kind of like Aaron Gordon at that price. And then we have some value we got to talk about. So Campozo at 4 or 5. Should start the point guard. Should play over 30 minutes. I think he's a fair value. Austin Rivers got dusted off for 23 minutes. I don't love it. PJ Dozier, I think, is probably my favorite play, assuming he starts. He came in right when Will Barton got injured. He played 30 minutes. He's also small forward eligible and shooting guard eligible, which is nice. So Dozier I like for value. Is Monte Morris... will be back for a little while. Yeah, okay. I didn't think he was even potential to play. So yeah, he's out. Off the bench, Millsap's going to play the backup 5. I don't really think he's a good point for a guy when playing the 5, but I don't think it's necessary. Plus, if this game does blow out, like, he's not going to play in the blowout. So it's like the only way he gets more minutes if like Jokic gets in foul trouble. So not super interested there in Millsap. JaMychal Green probably plays a little bit more. Again, like, you can go there, but also Shaq Harrison got some run at the flat min. But yeah, those guys are all secondary plays for me. All right, so that is what I got for this slate. It's an ugly one. And you can go a couple different ways, right? You can play for some blowouts. Yeah. All right, so let's get to some questions, guys. We're over 300 viewers and 93 likes. I appreciate everyone that has come in and hit that like button. It does help me out a lot, so thank you, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me just enter some stuff. I forgot to enter some contests, so that's important. Probably should do that really quick. All right, cool. So, questions. Let's do it. Yeah, I think Jokic is a really good spend up, but the issue is just potential for a blowout. So the way you fade Jokic, you think the game does not stay close. I haven't built my lineup yet, but right now leaning towards it. He's going to be popular. So like there is some edge, right? You can play for the blowout and fade him and go to a guy like Luka or go to a Zion who maybe are slightly suboptimal, but if the Denver game blows out, then you'll be looking good. None in Jokic or Brogdon and Adebayo. That's tough. I think I'll go with the second one. Clarkson and or Ingles for GPP. I think Ingles has a slightly higher floor. But I think if Clarkson is really getting going, he probably has a little bit of a higher ceiling. So give me Clarkson there. The risk is a little bit higher though with Clarkson. Does McDermott take away minutes from Brissett? Not if Brissett's playing at the 5. Like, McDermott should play mostly at the 4. So I think it's going to be like Brissett and Jakar Sampson. Can you play Brogdon and LeVert together? Yeah, you can. Like, if the game stays close, they'll play 35 minutes. Jimmy and Plumlee or Olynyk and MPJ. Second option will be a full game stack. Yeah, it depends, right? If you think... I think, like... If that Denver game stays close, I think the upside is insane in that game. So, like, give me the second one, but the blowout risk is real. Yeah, it's completely viable, but it's like you got to know the risk, right? There's a pretty good chance it doesn't stay close, and obviously if you stack the game and it blows out, it's just automatic L. But if you stack the game and it stays close, again, that game I think has the most upside. Brissett, Jokic, Martin, or Plumlee, Sampson, and Luka. Okay, so which Martin are we talking about here? KJ Martin. Okay, so. Let's see that again. Brissett, Jokic, and KJ Martin, or Plumlee, Sampson, Luka. I think I prefer the first one. Starting lineups, yeah. I don't think we have any starting lineups yet for any teams. James Johnson out. That doesn't do much. Yes, Steven Adams is in. We expected that. Brissett or Amani Brooks? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think they're two of the best values of the slate. I'll go Armani Brooks. Yeah, I think DeRozan's firmly in play if he does play. Don't love the price, but 8.5 should play 35 plus minutes. No minutes limit for Lonzo. Is that what they said? Did they say no limit for him? I could have missed that. Is that like for sure out there? I might have missed that piece of news. If there is no limit, then yeah, he's in play. I missed that though. I didn't see that he's not on a Mets limit. Thoughts on Brooks, Clarkson, Tate, Martin, Plumlee, Doncic, Sampson if he starts in Jokic? Yeah, I like it. Top fade of the slate? I don't really know if I have one. Let's see. Just go to utility. Luka, I guess. That's not like not something I'm really like. I don't have a super strong take on that, but yeah, because I'm just kind of stacking the late game. Any advice for transitioning or advice from DK to FanDuel? Just keep an eye on the price points. If price points are very similar, then advice should be it should be pretty similar. But if obviously like prices are way different in some players, then you gotta reconsider some stuff. Ingles, Aaron Gordon, or Butler and Jeffries. Yeah, I think it's gotta be the first one there. House or Brissett if they both start. Brissett for me. Brissett over House for sure, because Brissett just has in my opinion, when he plays the 5, he just has a lot higher floor, right? Anyone that plays the 5 just is prefer them over kind of a score-independent player like Daniel House. Conley, Butler, or Luka, none. Give me Conley and Butler there. Steven Adams starts. Yep. LeVert and Conley or Brogdon and Ingles. Ooh, that's tough because I prefer, obviously, Brogdon. I prefer Conley. I'll go the first one. Brogdon and Clarkson or none, and Butler and Cash. Even though I don't think Clarkson's that much of a cash game play, I'll go the first one because I just think the upside is really high in Malcolm Brogdon. Kobe White, Kendrick Nunn, or Derek White. Derek White, if DeMar DeRozan is out, I'll go Derek White. Priority to get a Utah guy in there. You don't necessarily have to. The way the Utah guys don't get there is a blowout, but I think probably getting to at least one is optimal on the slate. 5,500 for utility or under. All right, let's take a look. So 5,500 and under. Yeah, it's Aaron Gordon or Kendrick Nunn for me. I mean, none with both those guards out might be a little bit safer, but I do like the upset in Gordon with a couple guys out for Denver and the possibility of maybe playing more. So those are the two guys I think I would look to. Plumlee or Olynyk. If you have the salary, it's Olynyk, right? But I do think Plumlee's a sneaky tournament play. I do. I don't think I get to him in a cash game setting, but he's below 5K. The minutes at times can fluctuate. He's got foul trouble issues. I will just say this. If Mason Plumlee plays over 30 minutes tonight, he could break the slate at, I think, pretty low ownership. Can you fade some of the higher spend ups and go more balanced? Yeah, you certainly can. The way that happens is some blowouts, right? And obviously Luka is not in the best spot either. It's like a lot of the stars, like if Denver gets blown out, Luka's not in a great spot, Towns is not in a great spot, like you can definitely go a little bit more balanced. Yeah, I like Brogdon. I think Brogdon's a really good play. Sorry if I missed some stuff here, guys. Is going fast. 6,000 for forward. Let's see. 6,000 in forward spot. I mean, you can settle on Bojan Bogdanovic. He's just scoring dependent. That's why I don't like playing him. I would have sent Jayshawn Tate, but he's at 6'1", so it's Gordon. It's Gordon or Bojan for me. Sumner, good value play. Not really looking to him on this one. Would rather get to Brissett, assuming he starts. Would rather get to the Houston value. Lonzo said that the Brooklyn game was the last game for minutes limit. Okay, yeah, then you can get to Lonzo. I think he's a fair play. Thoughts on PJ Dozier? Assuming he starts, I think he's a pretty good value. He played 30 minutes the last game. I expect if he starts similar run, he's actually a pretty decent point per minute guy. So I have interest in Dozier for sure. What about Miami with just Duncan and Nunn on point guard and shooting guard? Yeah, so I think Nunn is viable at his price. And then obviously Jimmy and Bam at the top look decent. Plumlee or Olynyk, at price doesn't matter. Olynyk for sure. Tate or Brissett. Considering price, it's Brissett for me, assuming he starts. Kobe or Nunn. It's got to be Nunn there now. That is close, though, but I'll say Nunn with both Hero and Dragic out. LeVert and Dozier or Gordon and Ingles. You already have Brogdon. If you already have Brogdon, I'll go the second one. Thoughts on D'Lo for this slate? 6,200 on FanDuel. Playable for tournaments. How many minutes did he play the last game? I know he's kind of off his minutes. Somebody's coming out the bench. He played 29. Yeah, so he can get hot. It's not the best matchup, but you can go there for GPPs. Is the spend up absolutely necessary with the slate? No, you can go a little bit more balanced. Russell or Clarkson? Clarkson for sure. TK for president. Appreciate that, man. We win in 10K tonight. Let's get it. Yeah, top fade. there's no player that I'm like, oh, I need to fade this guy. I'm fading Luka. I think he's gonna be popular. Any love for Plumlee? I really like Plumlee for GPPs. He's gonna be unowned. I think it's a great matchup against that Pacers front court. The only concern for Plumlee is he's a guy that gets in foul trouble. Plus, minutes are never guaranteed for him. Like, I wouldn't be super surprised if he would play 22 minutes tonight. But like if he plays over 30, Mason Plumlee, I think he could break the slate. Brogdon, House, Butler, Martin, Plumlee, Brooks, Brissett, Jokic. I think it's a little bit risky, but I like the upside. Can we fade? Yeah, you can. You can definitely go more balanced. Thoughts on Jimmy Butler? I think he's actually a safer spend up like that. That game doesn't have a ton of blowout risk. Thanks, bro. As always, yeah, let's get it. Okay, guys, one more question I do to get out of here. Yes, you can play both Brogdon and LeVert, and Gordon or Ingles. Ingles there. Can we run it? Can we run back? Any run back with Mason? Run back with Mason at 7.6? Well, no, because the Pacers, like Brogdon and LeVert are both over 8K. So like I'm not playing McConnell, I'm not playing Justin Holiday. So Joseph a priority. Is that Corey Joseph? All right, this is actually the last question. Corey Joseph, no. Secondary option for me. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. I appreciate everyone coming to check out the live stream. We had over 300 viewers on a Saturday, 124 likes. Thank you to everyone that gave me a super chat. And it's not necessary at all, but really, really appreciated. Good luck to you guys, and I'll be back here for another slate on Sunday.